The marble streets of Rome once echoed with the thunder of triumph. Generals returned from war parading chained kings, their armor gleaming in the Mediterranean sun. Victory was the lifeblood of the Roman Republic and Empire, and leaders were expected to deliver it or face the wrath of both Senate and people. Yet behind the glory of Caesar's laurel wreaths and Augustus's golden age lies another story, the story of humiliation. For every man who carved his name into stone as conqueror, another stumbled, faltered, or collapsed under the weight of defeat. These are not the men who built Rome's empire, but those whose failures shook it. And today, we bring you 10 of Rome's most humiliated leaders. But let us begin with a question. What happens when the world's most feared empire is forced to kneel?
First is Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man meets ruin. He was richer than kings, a titan of property and silver mines, the man who financed Julius Caesar's rise. Crassus believed gold could buy him glory, and so he marched east, seeking to conquer the Parthian Empire. But on the desert plains of Carrhae in 53 BCE, ambition curdled into disaster. His legions were showered with arrows from Parthian horse archers, their famous testudo crushed under relentless fire. Crassus himself was captured and executed, his head stuffed with molten gold in a mocking tribute to his greed. Rome's wealthiest man became its most humiliated corpse. Second is Publius Varus, the butchered legions of Teutoburg Forest. In 9 CE, Governor Publius Quintilius Varus led 3 Roman legions through the dense forests of Germania. He believed he was marching among allies, but Arminius, the Germanic leader he trusted, had betrayed him. As storms raged and roads narrowed, tribal warriors rained spears from the tree line. Entire cohorts vanished in the mud. The proud eagles of Rome were seized, an unthinkable disgrace. Varus, rather than face capture, fell upon his sword. The news shattered Emperor Augustus, who wandered his palace crying, "Quintilius Varus, give me back my legions!" Third is Decimus Brutus, the betrayer betrayed. Cunning, ruthless, one of Caesar's assassins, Decimus Brutus expected to rise as Rome's savior. Instead, as civil war erupted, he was abandoned by his soldiers, hunted like prey, and executed by a Gallic chieftain. His fall was poetic. The man who stabbed Caesar in the name of liberty was himself stabbed in the wilderness, forgotten by the republic he thought he was saving. Fourth is Gaius Terentius Varro, the shame of Cannae. Cannae, 216 BCE, one of the darkest stains in Roman military history. Hannibal encircled and annihilated nearly 50,000 Romans in a single day. And the man most blamed? Consul Gaius Varro, who pushed for battle against all warnings. While his other consuls survived with some dignity, Varro's recklessness brought death on a scale so vast the Senate refused to punish him, believing humiliation itself was punishment enough. His name became a curse, tied forever to disaster.
Fifth is Marcus Antonius, Mark Antony, from hero to drunken tragedy. Mark Antony once stood beside Caesar, Rome's master of cavalry, feared by enemies, adored by legions. But in the end, it was not Parthians nor Germans who undid him. It was his love for Cleopatra. At Actium in 31 BCE, Antony's fleet faltered as Cleopatra fled the battle, and he abandoned his men to chase her. Rome branded him traitor, drunk, and slave to a foreign queen. In Alexandria, cornered and defeated, Antony fell on his sword, yet even that he bungled, dying slowly in humiliation before being dragged to Cleopatra's arms. Sixth is Lucius Aemilius Paulus, crushed at Cannae's twin disaster. Before Cannae, Rome endured another devastating humiliation, the Battle of Cannae's lesser twin, the disaster of Cannae's consul, Paulus. Despite being of noble lineage, Paulus's name is remembered not for valor, but for presiding over a catastrophe. His inability to check Hannibal's brilliance branded him a man undone by forces beyond him. Yet Rome remembered him not as tragic, but as a commander shamed by history. Seventh is Emperor Valerian, Rome's emperor in chains. Perhaps the single most humiliating moment in Roman imperial history. In 260 CE, Emperor Valerian marched against the Persian king Shapur I, but instead of glory, he was captured alive, the only Roman emperor ever to suffer such a fate. Shapur paraded him like a trophy, and legends claim Valerian was forced to serve as the Persian king's human footstool before being flayed alive. Whether exaggeration or truth, his humiliation sent shockwaves across the empire. An emperor reduced to a slave. Eighth is Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, Pompey the Great, the head in the sand. Once hailed as Magnus, conqueror of the East, Pompey was a colossus of Rome. But hubris brought him down. Defeated by Caesar at Pharsalus, he fled to Egypt, seeking refuge. Instead, he was betrayed. As he stepped from his ship, assassins struck. His decapitated head was presented to Caesar, who reportedly wept at the sight. The man who had once walked in triumph through Rome ended as a corpse abandoned on a foreign beach.
Ninth is Emperor Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor, the boy king. When Rome finally collapsed in 476 CE, its last emperor was not a titan of steel, but a boy of 16. Romulus Augustulus was mocked as Little Augustus, a puppet emperor of no real power. When Odoacer, the barbarian warlord, deposed him, the boy was spared, sent into retirement with a pension. No blood, no drama, just quiet dismissal. The mightiest empire on earth ended not with thunder, but with a whimper. Its last ruler humiliated by irrelevance. 10th is Emperor Nero, the artist who fled his own city. Infamous, extravagant, accused of fiddling while Rome burned. Nero imagined himself an artist, a charioteer, a poet, but Rome demanded an emperor. When rebellion spread and Senate condemned him to death, Nero fled the city disguised, hiding in a villa. Cornered, he attempted suicide, but his trembling hand could not finish the deed. A servant struck the fatal blow. His last words dripped with self-pity. "What an artist dies in me." Rome remembered him not as genius, but as disgrace. Rome's glory is immortalized in marble arches, triumphal columns, and stories of conquest. Yet humiliation is the shadow that makes the light of victory shine brighter. These 10 leaders reveal the cost of hubris, betrayal, or weakness in a world where Rome demanded nothing less than perfection. Valerian's chains remind us that even emperors could become slaves. Varus's forest massacre shows how arrogance can doom entire armies. And Nero's cowardice proves that power without discipline crumbles into ash. But humiliation also shaped Rome. After Cannae, the Republic adapted, learning endurance over arrogance. After Varus's loss, Rome abandoned expansion into Germany, shaping Europe's cultural map forever.
Even the shame of Romulus Augustulus symbolized transformation, the old empire fading so a new Europe could rise. So, the question remains, should we remember these men as failures or as essential characters in Rome's eternal story? Without their humiliation, perhaps Rome would never have endured. The fall of great men is as important to history as their victories. Their shame carved lessons into Rome's destiny and left echoes still felt today. The stories of Crassus, Varus, Valerian, and Nero remind us that empires are not built on triumph alone, but on the ashes of those who failed. If you enjoyed this journey into Rome's most humiliating defeats, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow history lovers, and subscribe for more tales from the shadows of the past. History is not just the story of glory, it is also the story of humiliation. And Rome, perhaps more than any empire, knew both in equal measure.